In a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, many young women were held captive after being kidnapped. They were being sold for their bodies and organs by one of the largest mafia groups in China. Wu Ge, a senior member of the Hongai group, was seen negotiating with two longtime clients from Mexico, Carlos and Diego. Both of them had heard that their boss planned to run for parliament. If that was true, they hoped Wu Ge would become the next leader of Hongai, since they believed the group's success was built on his ideas and hard work. Wu Ge, however, did not think much about leadership. For him, whatever decision his uncle made, he would always follow. But danger was already close. This is Wolf hiding. Inside his building, Hongai met with one of his senior men, Walong. Walong advised him to shift focus toward legitimate businesses such as finance, real estate, and healthcare, especially now that Hongai had become the most popular candidate in the election. He also urged that their dealings with Carlos be cut off soon, to avoid scandals that could damage his reputation later. Hongai understood his concerns. Instead of dismissing them, he planned to appoint Walong the next leader of the Hongai group, with the ceremony scheduled for the following day. That night, when Walong returned home, he celebrated privately, pleased with the honor he would soon receive. But the lights in his house suddenly went out, and an intruder entered to kill him. Meanwhile, outside the police headquarters, protesters gathered, demanding action over the years of unsolved missing persons cases. Lu, the head prosecutor, ordered Lang Wen, a corrupt police officer, to handle the situation quickly. Lu did not want the demonstrations to damage Hongtai's election chances, especially since some of the protest banners displayed his own image. That night, Lang Wen and his men went to a settlement they believed was behind the ongoing protests. He declared the cases closed and labeled the residents as rioters for disturbing the police department. He warned them they had 3 days to leave the country, otherwise they would end up like the things he burned. Elsewhere, Chennon woke from a nightmare when his younger sister, Chenla, shook him awake. She asked him to prepare breakfast since she was hungry. While eating, Chennon listened to the news on television about Hongai stepping down from his company to focus on his campaign. On the same day, Hongai planned to announce the appointment of his successor. After preparing his equipment, Chennon decided to head to Hongtai's location. Chenla tried to stop him, but he reassured her everything would be fine. Hongai soon arrived at a temple with his two trusted men, Ma Wenkang and Quan Chan. His daughter Charlie also accompanied him. During the ceremony with other Hongai leaders, Lang Wen, who was also on duty there, noticed a suspicious figure near the temple. He prepared to intervene, but Ma stopped him, saying corrupt police were no better than dogs who only served their masters at the top. Angered by the insult, Lang Wen struck Ma, sparking a brief fight. News then reached Ma that Walong had been killed. He immediately informed Hongai. Shocked by the death of his chosen successor, Hongai ordered Lu to find the killer within 24 hours, dead or alive. He left the temple with his men, unaware that Chennon had been watching closely, while Lang Wen grew suspicious of a vehicle trailing their convoy. Suddenly, a bomb planted by Chennon exploded in one of the escort cars, throwing the convoy into chaos. As the guards scrambled, Chennon broke through, taking down bodyguards one by one before managing to escape. Lang Wen gave chase while Hongai, gravely injured, was rushed to the hospital. At the police station, Hongtai's paid officers immediately opened an investigation. CCTV footage from the scene revealed Chennon's face. Lang Wen realized this was no ordinary attacker, but a professional assassin, likely hired by someone with inside knowledge of the group. Lu then gave Lang Wen direct orders to track down and capture the suspect, before Hongtai's men found him first. Securing the killer would give them a stronger position within the group. After stabilizing Hongai, the lead doctor reported that his condition was improving, though he had suffered a mild concussion. Lu circulated the suspect's photo, confirming he was the same man who killed Walong. He argued that only someone with deep ties to the group would dare orchestrate such moves, which immediately fueled distrust among the Hongai leaders. Accusations erupted. Wang pointed a finger at Wu Ge, claiming Wu Ge had been secretly working with the Carlos brothers and harbored ambitions of becoming the next leader. The tension threatened to explode, but Quan Chan stepped in to calm the room. He urged them to focus on capturing the attacker first, then uncover who was behind him. Afterward, Quan Chan spoke privately with Ma. He instructed Ma to find the killer before anyone else could, so they could extract the truth about who had hired him. Ma agreed without hesitation, preferring to work alone as he always did. Meanwhile, Chennon appeared at a site linked to Wang's drug operations. Lang Wen tracked him through traffic surveillance cameras. Despite being confronted by Wang, Chennon remained calm. Wang demanded to know who had hired him and gave him two choices: die slowly or suffer until he begged for death. Suddenly, the power went out. In the darkness, Chennon snapped and slaughtered everyone in the building in a frenzy. When Ma and Lang Wen arrived, they were stunned to find the entire place filled with corpses. Chennon and Wang had both vanished without a trace. Elsewhere, Wu Ge returned home and learned that Wang had vanished while Ma had been left exposed at the crime scene. He began to suspect Hong Tai might be orchestrating the elimination of senior members to secure total control of the group's businesses. Meanwhile, Ma contacted Quan Chan to report Wang's disappearance and voiced his fear that they could be the next targets. Convinced Wu Ge was behind it all, he asked for permission to approach the Carlos brothers for support, believing their loyalty could be bought by whoever paid them more. At that time, Wu Ge was already meeting with the Carlos brothers. He told them that tonight he would kill Hong Tai, claiming the recent murders were part of Hong Tai's plot to seize the group for himself. Wu Ge explained that he had created an alibi by pretending to remain in the hospital, ensuring no suspicion would fall on him. His true plan was to transform the Hong Tai group into a legitimate business empire by erasing its criminal ties. To achieve this, he intended to eliminate every senior member who might expose his past. He also considered Ma Wenkang, Hong Tai's trusted man, a likely obstacle. Suddenly, Carlos's phone rang. It was Ma, warning them that Wu Ge had deceived everyone. Ma tried to negotiate, claiming he was speaking under Hong Tai's direct orders. What Ma did not realize was that Wu Ge overheard the entire conversation. Together with the Carlos brothers, Wu Ge set a trap to kill both Hong Tai and Ma that very night. Wu Ge then led his men to the hospital to finish off Hong Tai. But Hong Tai and Quan Chan had already anticipated his move and were waiting. At the same time, Ma arrived at the warehouse where the Carlos brothers had prepared an ambush. The confrontation ended with Quan Chan stabbing Wu Ge, killing him. For a brief moment, he remembered the days when they had once shared a close bond with Hong Tai. Meanwhile, Ma found himself surrounded by the Carlos brothers and their men. At the last moment, Lang Wen stormed in with his own forces, rescuing Ma and arresting the Carlos brothers along with their crew. Then the phone rang. The call was from Chennon. He informed Hong Tai that he had his daughter, Charlie, in his custody. Desperate, Hong Tai begged him to release her and promised anything in return. Chennon coldly replied that the only thing he wanted was her heart. Chennon untied Charlie's hands and told her to eat the meal he had prepared. Terrified, Charlie realized the food might not be for her at all. When she asked who he was speaking to, Chennon calmly replied that he was talking to his younger sister, a girl Charlie could not see. He explained that many people had once wanted to adopt her. In truth, Chennon and his sister Chen-la had grown up without parents after a tragic accident. They depended only on each other, and Chen-la often tried to ease her brother's burdens. One day, she decided to surprise him with a new motorcycle to replace the old one that constantly broke down. She saved money and even sold the old bike, though the amount still fell short. Not far from where she lived, she noticed a blood donation program that offered money for new donors. Without hesitation, she signed up, thinking the payment could help her buy the motorcycle for her brother. When Chennon found out, he was touched. He promised himself he would work harder to support her dream of becoming a nurse, so that one day she could care for him when he grew old. But that night everything changed. As Chennon waited to pick her up after work, a group of men kidnapped Chen-la and drove her away. He followed the vehicle until it reached a warehouse controlled by the Hong Tai group. Inside were its leaders, including the Carlos brothers. There he discovered the truth. The blood donation Chen-la had done was used to match her as a donor. Her heart was to be transplanted into Charlie, the daughter of Hong Tai. Chennon could do nothing. He had no strength to fight back, and he barely escaped with his life. For the next 8 years, Chennon searched for clues about the Hong Tai organization. He learned that his sister was not the only victim. The group had built its empire through drug trafficking, human trafficking, and organ harvesting. For crimes like these, forgiveness was impossible, and vengeance became his only path to justice. Years later, Chennon appeared at the police station and surrendered, despite being one of the most wanted fugitives. At the same time, Carlos was secretly released from prison by someone on the inside. During interrogation, Langwen asked Chennon who he was working for. Chennon answered coldly, saying he worked for the man behind the mirror, not for a lapdog like Langwen. The insult enraged Langwen, who attacked him in the interrogation room. Lu entered and stopped his subordinate, then tried to get answers himself. But Chennon turned the tables, asking for his phone and showing him a video of Lu's crimes. Shocked, Lu had no choice but to comply when Chennon demanded to be taken to his house. Once there, Lu walked into a trap. Inside, he found Wang tied up, and Chennon manipulated the two men until they turned on each other, ending in violence. Not long after, Hongai arrived with Quan Chan, Ma, and their men. They came to kill Chennon and rescue Charlie. Instead, they found only Lu and Wang, both dead. Suddenly Lu's phone rang. On the other end, Chennon told Hongai that his daughter was at the dock where Carlos was hiding. Meanwhile, Carlos was preparing to flee his base. His plan was interrupted when Chennon called, warning that Hongai was on his way to destroy him. Enraged, Carlos ordered his men to prepare for war. When Hongai and his forces arrived, a violent battle erupted. Chennon watched the chaos from above. Amid the fight, Hongai caught sight of Chennon and went searching for him. To his shock, he found Chennon, Ma, and Langwen gathered in one place. At that moment, the truth about their past was revealed. Ma had grown up with Chennon and Chenla in the same orphanage. They were like family. When Chenla died, both Chennon and Ma were devastated, but her death had been manipulated by Lu. He staged it as a traffic accident. In reality, before her death, Chenla had signed a will agreeing to donate her heart to a woman in need. This revelation drove Chennon into a rage. He attacked, but the group was quickly subdued by the police guarding the area. Langwen then stepped forward. He explained that he had once been an honest officer. His mentor had uncovered strong evidence connecting Hongai and Lu to organized crime. Before his mentor's suspicious death, he entrusted Langwen with the evidence. When Langwen saw the news that his mentor had supposedly died in an accident, he suspected Lu had orchestrated it. To survive, Langwen turned corrupt and handed the evidence to Lu, gaining his trust while secretly keeping watch. Langwen asked Chennon and Ma to join forces with him, admitting that Chenla was not the only victim and Hongai was not the only criminal. Police, prosecutors, businessmen, and officials were all part of the network. He could not expose it alone, and while the risk was great, they agreed the truth had to come out. They made a pact to set aside pride, endure the pain, and risk everything for justice. With their alliance in place, the plan began to unfold. They created internal conflict within the Hongai group.
After learning Hongai would step down, Ma, who had gained his trust and knew the organization's weaknesses, struck first by killing O Walong, the chosen successor. They turned his death into bait, framing Wu Ge as if he had hired the assassin. Since Wu's ambition for the leader's seat was no secret, suspicion grew quickly. From there, each staged event pushed the group deeper into division. When Hongai realized the truth, he pleaded with them to punish him alone and release his daughter. Chennon refused. Instead, he handed him a box containing his daughter's heart, a cruel act of revenge he had carried inside for years. Ma prepared to kill Hongai, but Langwen stopped him. He revealed that he had already gathered evidence of all their crimes, and no one would escape justice. As the three of them prepared to leave, they noticed a group of women locked inside cages. Their mission changed. Rather than fleeing, they prioritized rescuing the captives. At the same time, Quan Chan and his men, who had survived the fight against Carlos, were still nearby. Langwen tried to hold the cages steady to stop them from sinking, while the kidnapped women screamed for help. Ma and Quan Chan confronted each other in a brutal fight that ended with Ma's death. Police units then stormed the area, arresting anyone still alive and connected to the case. Hongai, refusing to surrender, attempted to attack Chennon, but was shot dead by the officers. Before the story ended, Charlie was shown to be alive, standing in Chen and sunflower field. Meanwhile, Lang Wen and Chennon were taken to court to face punishment for their actions. Families of the victims, who had long waited for justice, expressed their gratitude and support. So the moral of the story is, if your family business involves organ trafficking, backstabbing, and explosions, don't be surprised when your holiday dinners get awkward.